My story is very, very personal and very impactful in my life. In order to say where I am now, you kind of have to know where I came from. So I had an incredibly wonderful childhood, very loving parents, but church just wasn't a part of our everyday life. And obviously I was taught right from wrong and to love God, and God loves me. But as far as just going to church, wasn't anything that we ever did. But whenever I got married and started going to church regularly, was really appreciative of the stories I heard, and somewhat felt a little bit inadequate, not understanding, not knowing all the stories. So I actually attended for several years and then was baptized, but I still just really was an everyday person and just didn't take everything to heart. But I really felt pulled. I really felt the knocking on my door that I needed to really get into the Bible, and I really wanted to understand more about it. So personally, I didn't tell anybody at all, but as corny as it sounds, I actually made a New Year's resolution that I was going to read the Bible. Well, it was still that week that I had personally made this New Year's resolution when a great friend of mine, Charlie Merrill, called and said, "Hey, we're going to be starting a Bible study at the YMCA. I would love for you to be a part of it." And I thought, well, that's weird. But it wasn't weird at all. It was me opening my heart to God's wishes, and I started that Bible study, and it really meant a lot to me, and it really helped me figure out what God wanted from me and who He wanted me to be. But my story got even stronger later in that week, whenever I just really continued to feel God pulling in my life. And later that week, it was on a Sunday afternoon, and I remember it vividly, that Dan and Mary Bryan were just incredibly on my mind. And at that point, I really didn't know Dan and Mary very well, but I had a lot of respect for them. And as just started their Sunday school class, and I just knew that they were people that I wanted to strive to be. And although I didn't know them very well, now I consider them like second parents. They're just incredibly close to me. But that Sunday afternoon, they were just incredibly on my mind, and I just felt like I had to write a letter. So I just started laying everything out. It just started flowing out of me, and writing everything down. And 4 pages later, I ended up with I just felt peace after I had written everything. And I put it in the mail and was driving home, and I just was thinking about the week that I had that I started the Bible study, and I felt compelled to write this letter, and I just kind of knew at that point. I'd even talked to my mom that week, and had actually ordered her a Bible, and we were going to go through the Bible together. And I just was thinking on the way home that if something happened to me now, that this is what it's all about. Just that feeling that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and I felt really good about it. The true miracle happened a few days later. I saw Dan actually on Tuesday in Jefferson City at a legislative day, and Dan didn't mention anything about the letter, and I mailed this in town Sunday night, and I thought, well, that's really strange. He didn't say anything about the letter, but I dismissed it, but the following Sunday at church, Dan came up to me and very emotional, saying that he had received the letter and how much it actually meant to him and Mary. And he explained to me that was a tough week for him. That that week was their son's Darren's birthday, and Darren had been killed several years before in a car accident, and Wednesday was Darren's birthday, and Dan and Mary was extremely down that day, and that was the day that they received the letter. So it's what they needed to receive on that day, and it's what I needed to write that Sunday. And I knew that as soon as I heard that no matter how small I am, how small any of us are, that God works through all of us. That we call the Postal Service and say that's inadequate service, that a letter comes on Wednesday whenever it's mailed Sunday in the same town. But in fact, it's actually God's miracle that they received that letter exactly the day they needed it. And I wrote that letter exactly the day I needed it. And it was all God's work. And if God can work through somebody like me, he can work through anybody. So that was confirmation to me that I was on the right track, and that I was doing what God needed me to do. And I've heard that knock on my door or that calling several times in my life, and I've done my best to try to follow through with it, with similar miracles that's happened, that I know that God has had his place in me, that he's actually worked through me, and that's just an incredible feeling, knowing that he can work through any of us. And it really comes to light that the picture that hangs in this church of Jesus knocking on the door, that whenever there's not a handle on his side, that it's up to us to open up that door to let him in, because he's knocking on all of us, and it's up to us to open up that door. And friends, whenever we do, miracles happen. That's my story.